Good evening, everybody. Good evening. This is Cutler here on the Let's Talk to Cutler program, the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, and it's February the 9th, 2021. And as you can see, I'm doing something a little different, a little new, and I hope you guys like it. Hey, listen, as I am every Tuesday and Thursday, I'm here for only 1,800 seconds, only 1,800 seconds. I have to make every second significant. Every moment matter, and every minute has to be meaningful. So I'll tell you what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about the roadmap to recovery. Not only are we going to talk about a roadmap to recovery, but we're also going to talk about how do you handle people? How really do you handle people? And then we're also going to talk about how do we accept the no's in life when we really want to hear the yeses. So we're going to talk about all that. I'm going to shout out the LTTC VIPs. We're going to talk about this book, Billboards to Better, and we're going to do all of that as soon as I come back. Okay?
Let's talk to Cutler. One more thing, like, subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to Cutler.
Well, I'm back. I hope you all enjoyed that. You should see me when it's just playing. I'm dancing a jig because it excites me. Listen, in a few moments, I'll go ahead and I'll shout out our LTTC VIPs for the evening. But I need you all to come on over in the chat room and chat it up and talk with me. Let me know that you're here. As I'm using this new platform, you all are going to have to talk to me now so that at least I'll know that you're here. All right. So while some of you all used to sort of hang out in the shadows a little bit and you didn't come into the chat room, now you got to come into the chat room. You got to talk to me. I got to know that you're here. I want to see you all and know for sure that you're here. As we do every Tuesday, we read our quotes from Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we'll read the quotes from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Of course, you know, Saturday is all day your way. Find the quote for Saturday. You can use it to start a conversation. Use it as a part of your meditation, whatever the case may be. Just do that. We're reading from this book right here, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. That's Billboards to Better. And I'm going to see if I can pop that up. Yeah, there we go. Billboards to Better. You all, listen, I told you I'm working on doing something new. Now, you can get Billboards to Better from Amazon.com, or you can just go over to my website, www.gbcutler.com, and pick up the book. All right. But I want to shout out now. I want to take a moment and shout out our LTTC VIPs for the evening. And they are, you all. They are Sonia Bailey, Jackie Cares RN, and Annie Cutler. But you know what I'm going to do today? I'm just going to keep on shouting out the other VIPs that I see too. So I'm going to add Audrey Winfrey Lady. I'm going to add Audrey Dixon. I'm going to also add Radella Lewis. So you all are the LTTC VIPs for the evening. All right. It's so good to see all of you all. I'm using a new platform. You all have to chat with me and tell me how you. Of course, you know, I'm always up for critique, comments, criticism, and just trying to be better. Why? Because we are all trying to be better along the highway of life. That's why we spend this time together. That's why we're here reading these billboards to better, because we want to be better. We want to become better. We want to do better. And guess what? 366 daily sources. We're riding along the highway of life, and you all know it is my hope, it is my goal that as we're riding along the highway of life, looking at all these billboards and we're getting better, that we have the most crowded car on the highway. Our goal is to have the most crowded car on the highway. All right. So what I want to do is go ahead and get started with the quotes, but I'm just going to be doing a shout out probably throughout the evening. We'll see. But I want to say hi to Nikki and hi to Mika as well. All right. So our quote, we're going to get started for February the 7th. All right. We're going to get started for February 7th because we're reading the quotes from Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Again, if you don't have the book, that's okay. You don't need it for the conversation right now, but you want it for your daily sources of inspiration and motivation. So run on over to Amazon.com and get the book. You definitely want to get that. You all know I'm only here for 1,800 seconds. Only 1,800 seconds. I got to make our second significant. But I want to say thank you for joining me. I want to say thank you for allowing me to share this space. Whatever space it is you've allowed me to share, I'm humbled by that and I'm thankful. So whether you're in your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, your car, your front porch, back porch, whatever it is, I'm thankful that you take this time to allow me to share this space. I don't take it for granted, but I count you among my blessings. I really, really do. And of course, I don't want to waste your time, but I do want to ask those of you, if you're joining for the first time, make sure that you click subscribe so that you subscribe to my channel. And then after you subscribe, go ahead and click on that bell, because that bell will let you know whenever I'm live and whenever I've uploaded new content. All right. And one more thing, those of you who are chatting with me this evening, go ahead and do a thumbs up on the conversation. It says to YouTube, I like what that guy's talking about. It says to me that you are encouraged by our conversations, as I am encouraged by having you here. All right, February 7th, our quote says, don't mishandle. Don't mishandle. And I want you all to talk to me and let me know what you think about our quotes and our conversations, okay? And go ahead and invite somebody else. Go ahead and share this and invite other people to the conversation. But the quote from February 7th says this: don't mishandle the sinner when trying to handle the sin. Do what you do in the spirit of meekness. Do what you do in the spirit of meekness. And I will tell you all this. I truly believe that our greatest call to stewardship is not about how we handle finances. It's not about how we handle our wealth. It's not about how we handle our material possessions. But I think the greatest call to stewardship, the greatest call to oversee something, is about how we handle people. And I've often said that out of all of the things that God can hold me accountable for, the one thing that I never want him to find me guilty of is mishandling his people. I don't ever want to be found guilty of mishandling people. I think a lot of times when we deal with people, we don't know how to focus on their habits or personality traits or actions. So instead, we end up, we don't know how to focus on their habits or the personality traits or actions. So what we end up doing, we attack their heart and their soul and their character and the spirit of people. So instead of addressing what they did, quite often we end up attacking who they are. And that's never a good thing. For example, I might not like the fact, or you may not like the fact that that I interrupt people while they're talking. I might not like the fact that you interrupt people while they're talking. But rather than treating you nasty or disregarding you or even disrespecting you, there's a way. There's a way that I could approach you and point out what you do. When you let me see if I can put it like this. It's not always about what you do when you call yourself correcting or helping somebody, but you know it. It's not what you do, but it's how we do it. And I'm going to tell you all this. My guiding principle for approaching people in a corrective action manner, my guiding principle for approaching people is found in a scripture similar to something that goes something like this. If any man be taken with the fault, you which are spiritual, restore him in the spirit of meekness. Now, that is my guiding principle. When it comes to trying to help people, when it comes to trying to correct people, that is my guiding principle in life. It really, really is. And the first thing it says to me, you all, is that I have to be spiritual enough to recognize the fault. And then a prerequisite for me to point out anybody's flaws is that I have to be spiritual about it. I cannot walk up in my humanity and in my flesh and assertive or overly assertive and aggressive, but I have to be spiritual enough to see it, and I have to be spiritual about pointing it out. It shouldn't be done. Correcting people or critiquing people, you all, should not be done to tear down another person's character. It should not be done to dishonor their integrity. And it should not be done to impugn their dignity, but it should be done from a place of spirituality. And spirituality does not mean superiority. I hope I don't get in trouble when I say that, but it really doesn't. Going to someone from a spiritual aspect does not mean that I am superior to them. So that guiding principle, the first thing I see is that I got to be spiritual about it. And then the second thing that I see in this guiding principle is that my actions should be all about restoring and building people up, not tearing them down. Because we see too much of that in the world as it is. We spend a lot of time tearing people down, stepping on them, using them, and then throwing them away. And then after we've done all of that, then we wonder why they don't want to be bothered with us. Why you don't want to be bothered with me? Yeah. Then we wonder why people don't want to be bothered with us. We wonder. We wonder. Why don't they call? Why don't they text me? Why don't they email me? Why don't they visit? Why don't they help me? We ask all of that after we have taken all of those measures to destroy them and then throw them away. Well, it's just a matter of looking back and seeing how you treated them. Look back. You might have an answer. Look around, look back at your actions, and we might just have an answer. And I will tell you all this, as I've gotten older, I've learned to be careful how I speak to people. I really have. It's important to me, and it may not be important to a lot of people, but it's important to me how I talk to people. It's important to me how people feel after a conversation with me. It really is. And this is not just about my Southern roots, but this is just about who I am. It's important to me how people feel after a conversation with me. It's important. It really is. It's important to me, the potential impact that my words could have in somebody's life. All of that is important. So quite often, I'm very careful about choosing the right words. I'm very careful about choosing the right words. And the next thing that I see in this guiding principle is the essence of this conversation: meekness. To be meek, you all, is simply means to be gentle. It doesn't mean that your meekness is not to be confused with weakness. It means that you are gentle. It doesn't mean that you're spineless. It doesn't mean that you can't be assertive. It doesn't mean that you are subservient or less than anybody. It simply means that you are aware that you're dealing with one of God's most precious commodities, another human being. That's all it means. That's all it means. So then for me, and I would tell you all this, I'm repelled, I'm turned off completely by people who are just so oblivious as to how they treat people until someone then treats them the same way that they treat others. Now, all of a sudden, they realize how it feels to be treated like they treat others. I grew up with my mother reminding me of this. She said, be careful how you talk to people. She would tell me, be careful how you talk to people. And she would tell me, don't talk to people any kind of way. But by the same token, she would remind me, don't let people talk to you any kind of way either. What am I saying tonight, you all? I'm saying, let's learn to separate sin from the sinner. Let's learn to separate the incident from the individual. Let's learn to pinpoint the target of our conversation. Let's learn to correct without crucifying. We've got to get that right. Let us learn to correct without crucifying. And let's learn to rescue without drowning. Because if you come to me in a way when I'm already in a precarious situation, when I'm already in the middle of the ocean and my arms are flapping and flailing wildly, I'm already having anxiety. I'm already gasping. And if you mishandle me and you don't come to me to restore me, and you don't come to me in meekness, you'll drown me instead of rescuing me. That's all I'm saying, you all. So I want to encourage us. I want to remind us, let's be careful how we treat people. Let's deal with the incident and not necessarily the individual. Because people are in oceans and they're already desperate and they're gasping. And in situations and times like this, everybody's always and already on edge. So let's be careful that we approach people in the spirit of meekness. All right. We are quoting and we're reading and sharing quotes from this book here, Billboards to Better, 366 Daily Sources of Motivation and Inspiration Along the Highway of Life. I'm so thankful that you all are sharing these 1,800 seconds with me. It's so good to see all of you. All right. And I've been shouting folk out as we're going through this. So Andrea Lucas, it's good to see you too. All right. We're going to go on and go to February the 8th. That's our quote for Monday. Then we get up here to today. All right. February the 8th. The quote says this: for every wrong turn on the road of life, we're talking about the road of life, there is a roadmap to recovery. And that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about this roadmap to recovery. And I will tell you all this. I was recently sharing and coaching one of my proteges who's going through a very dark moment. And I was reminding him that the reason we are still alive is so that we can take advantage of the opportunity to get back up from all of our fall downs, as well as our knockdowns. Because sometimes we fall and sometimes we are knocked down. All right. Listen, I was thinking about the lyrics to a song, and I know many of us like the lyrics to the song. We fall down, but we get up. I like the words and I appreciate the sentiment. But getting back up is not always as easy as it sounds. And I know we do sometimes fall down. But again, there are times, you all here in this thing called life, there are times when we are knocked down, there are times when we are pushed down, there are times when we are thrown down. But what I reminded my protege was that life is sometimes like a wrestling match or a boxing ring. As long as you stay in it, and here's why I want to encourage you all tonight, as long as you stay in it, there's an opportunity to keep going. I'm telling you, we don't always get up so easily. But sometimes we are pulled up because we're not strong enough to get up on our own. But sometimes we are pulled up, sometimes we crawl up, sometimes we're pushed up, and sometimes we struggle up. But we do get back to a place that's called up. That's why we are still alive. So we can take advantage of this place called up. And as I was pointing out to my protege the other evening, I was pointing out to him that even if our journey down is because of our own actions and because of our own decisions, there is still what I call a prescriptive measure for getting back up. In essence, y'all, I was reminding him that every wrong rather in life, even if I cause my own downfall, for every wrong in life, every wrong turn, every wrong decision, every wrong action, for every one of them, there is a roadmap to recovery. So don't you let people get you stuck in a place where you feel like I've done wrong and I can't recover. There is always a roadmap to recovery. And it might not look the same way for all of us because it's built on something that's called grace. My opportunity to recover is built on, as you said, I had to calm myself down because my opportunity to recover is built on something, is based on something that's called grace, something that I didn't deserve, something that I cannot earn. Grace is something that I want to encourage us all to be thankful for, but try not to take the advantage of having. It's something that we don't know how much of it we have until we've used it, until we've experienced it, until we've lived in it and survived because of it. So why is it important for me to share this quote tonight? I tell you all, when I wrote this book, I didn't know that we would be sitting here and sharing and discussing this particular quote tonight. I didn't. But why is it important for us to talk about every wrong turn having a roadmap to recovery? Because I want to ask you, why would you give up on yourself? Why would you give up on yourself when not even the creator of the world is giving up on you? Why would you write yourself off when God is still writing you in? Whether you fall down, knocked down, whether I'm pushed down, thrown down, or cast down, whatever it takes to get back up, learn how to brush yourself off, bandage yourself, and know that just as long as you live, you have an opportunity to recover. I hope this settles in and sinks in with us, because our roadmap to recovery is based on grace, and it doesn't look the same way for all of us. And you never know how much of it you have until you survive because of it. All right? We're reading from Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. And we're talking about, although we've been cast down, thrown down, fall down, and knocked down, we can recover from all of that. And whether those falls or that area, that downward spiral is because of somebody else or because of our own actions, there's always a roadmap to recovery. And that roadmap to recovery comes because we are still living, we are yet living. And so from every down, there's a place called up. For every bad, there's a place that's called good. For everything that looks like defeat and demise, there's a place that's called victory and survival. And so I want us to understand that. All right. Life doesn't always look so good for us, but guess what? We're still living it. And we're along this highway that's called better. Molly Miera, it's so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. So you all do me a favor. First time Molly, you all make sure that you welcome Molly, okay? You all say hi to Molly in the chat room. All right, so Molly, what we're doing, we're reading from this book, Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources. They're quotes for inspiration and motivation along the highway of life. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, and we're talking about these because we want to leave better than we did when we came here. And I'm only here for 1,800 seconds. I don't want to waste your time, so I'm going to go into the next quote. The next quote is for February the 9th. February the 9th. And I love the way you came in. Molly came in saying, hello, lovely people. I'm new to this channel. What recovery are we talking about? All right. I'm so glad that you joined the conversation when you did. All right. So let's go to February. Our quote for February the 9th. February the 9th, the quote says this: don't get stuck when God says no. Just rejoice when he says yes. All right. So you all want some inspiration. Here it comes on this quote right here. Don't get stuck when God says no. Just rejoice when he says yes. And as so often as I've shared with you all, this lesson, this quote comes from a place of real transparency for me. It does. I really could not grasp this concept until I truly accepted the fact that God knows what's best for me. And here comes this moment of transparency. There have been things that I wanted to do, places I wanted to go, people I wanted to know, and sites I wanted to see. There have been strategies that I wanted to execute and plans that I wanted to unfold. And I hope this is helping somebody this evening, but I had to accept the fact that there were times when the no that God had for me was more important than the yes that I had for myself. The no that God had for me was more important than the yes that I had for myself. And if I may be honest, I knew about my yes, but I didn't always know about God's no. And I'm telling you all this. And what I found that there were many times when it came to my yes was strategic. It was calculated. It was developed. It came after much thought. And when I would try to implement it after so much time, when I would I'm telling you all, this is true. I would seek out a place to try to execute the yes that I had. And it seems like after I spent so much time on my yes, instantaneously, God would say no. And all of my efforts went out the door and blew away like dust in a windstorm. Just blew away like dust in a windstorm because they were my yeses for myself. But when I truly learned how to live by faith and ask God to let his will be done in my life, I found then that I have clarity, the kind of clarity that comes with maturity and revelation. So the no's don't bother me. Now, let me not tell you all a lie. Let me just clarify this. The no's don't bother me as much because I've learned how to give thanks in everything. Not for everything, but in everything I've learned how to give thanks because I've learned that all things eventually will work together for my good. I've learned that the plans that God has for me include peace and not evil. I've learned that he wants me to have hope and a victorious future. And I've learned that his will is what's best for me. We've been chit-chatting now in almost these 1,800 seconds. And I just want to say thank you all for sharing this space. Whatever space you've allowed me to share, I'm thankful that you all have done that. And again, we're reading from this book. And from time to time, as you all know, I usually end, this is my 7th book, and I usually end with a quote from a poem that I've written from one of my previous books. But as I talk about this last quote, understanding that his will is what's best for me, I want to share the lyrics of a song, one of my favorite songs that was written by a gentleman named Darius Brooks. And the name of his song is Your Will. So I want to close this evening by sharing the lyrics of that song. The lyrics say, I wish I could tell you just what I want, and you would give it to me just like that. But the truth of the matter is what I want just might hurt me, and you won't let me go out like that. You know my end before my beginning, calculated blessings down to the penny. So I'll cry until you tell me, let it go, let it be. Because, Lord, your will is what's best for me. No rubies and no diamonds, no silver or no pearls. There are some lessons that I had to learn that I would not trade in for this world. You told me that my trials only come to make me strong. And with this, you promised never to leave me alone. So I'll cry until you tell me, let it go, let it be. Because, oh Lord, your will is what's best for me. Darius ends the lyrics of his song by saying this, your word is true and it will last. And this is the piece that speaks to my heart. You will guide the future as you have the past. At times I cannot see, but I know that it's so. You love me more than I will ever know. So I'll cry till you tell me, let it go, let it be, because, oh Lord, your will, it's what's best for me. I want to thank you all for sharing this space with me this Tuesday night. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, same time at 8 o'clock for only 1,800 seconds, trying to make sure every second is significant, every moment matters, and every minute is meaningful. If you haven't done so, please do a thumbs up on the conversation, do a subscribe, and then make sure you click the button so that you know the bell, rather, so you'll know whenever I've uploaded new content. And again, if you have not done so, make sure that you go over to www.gbcutler, where you can pick up the book, Billboards to Better, 366 Daily Sources of Motivation and Inspiration Along the Highway of Life. And until we meet here again this coming Thursday, let us keep on building community. Let's maintain connectivity. As I always say, keep your heads up, but keep your hopes up. Stay safe, stay sane, and until this time Thursday, from my heart to yours, much love. Good night.